most devastating, strongest storm I've ever seen in my lifetime.
My son he'll be 76 by the time if we replant it to get them to where they were at.
What are your options?
Well, zero. There's a lost asset.
Bud prays every night and cries, but we'll get through it.
Had one of the best crops we've ever had in years, and then when this come in, we went from the best crop we ever had to the worst in 6 hours.
It hurt my feelings, still hurts my feelings, because this is the first orchard I ever owned, you know. But it's the way you react when you fall, you know what I mean? It's how do you get up and recover.
Last October, Hurricane Michael plowed into the Florida Panhandle, leaving devastation in its wake. But Michael's destruction didn't stop at the coast. Farmers in North Florida and South Georgia endured stunning losses. Over $3 billion worth of crops gone in an instant.
We're row crop, mainly cotton, peanuts, small grain, oats, wheat.
Bud and I got married 9 years ago, and we actually dated all through high school. He was my high school sweetheart. And
Third generation, been here all my life. Been farming on my own for 21 years, something like that.
Bud and Desiree Baggett farm about 5,000 acres in Marianna, Florida.
We were right at the most critical point, right at harvest time. We had cotton was probably 7 to 10 days away from harvest. And peanuts the same, right when we got news of the storm coming in.
How old are these trees?
These are 35 years old. Yeah.
So how long have you owned this orchard?
I've owned it 17 years. This is the orchard that got my brother and I in business, you know.
Eric Cohen owns Pecan Ridge Plantation with his brother near Bainbridge, Georgia.
We had the best crop we'd probably had in 10 years.
You're kidding.
Nope. But see, that's why these trees are on the ground too, because there was so much weight on them.
Hurricane Michael hit right at harvest time, wiping out everything.
When did you first see the orchard after Hurricane Michael?
3 or 4 days, and I was just shocked.
We're probably at almost a $2 million loss, just our farm. And it's just hard to overcome that kind of financial loss, you know. And even though I had insurance, I didn't have enough coverage to really cover what we need. It covers about 35–40% of our costs. And that being said, that's only covering the input costs, not beside working all year for free, or your fuel and your labor and all that. You know, that's just actually input costs for the plant. Problem is, we're gonna have another crop in the ground, you know, in 5 months.
And how much money are you putting out for that?
It'll be probably another $3 million, you know, operating line.
Row crops require you to borrow big every year in the hopes that you have a good yield and repay. After Hurricane Michael, families are stuck with not only 2018's loan, but with a need to plant again immediately to earn any profit in 2019. Pecans and timber, on the other hand, have a long wait until they can get a harvest and any income.
5 years, I'm not making a pecan. 7 years, I'm maybe making enough to get us by, you know, the little inputs we had to put. 10 years, it'll take 10 years to get enough money to make it viable again.
So these trees, you're gonna plow everything. Is that the plan?
Yeah, we'll take an excavator and front end loader, and we'll clean them up. We'll start all over.
And insurance won't pay for that?
No.
Is insurance going to cover your crop loss for the next 10 years?
Nope, it'll cover 1 year.
1 year?
1 year.
What do you do for the next 9?
Just have to survive.
This idea of insurance not measuring up became a theme that we kept running into when trying to figure out this puzzle of recovery for these farmers. Crop insurance is a game of averages. Your average crop yield is based on the past 6 years' yield per acre. So 1 year, you have a great crop, 1,000 pounds per acre. Then an okay year at 600 pounds, so on and so forth. Your average yield is 850 pounds. That number is now the maximum you can insure to, with most farmers choosing to insure about 30% of that average. But this all depends on the weather, and this region is seeing 27% more heavy rain events, and the average temperature has risen almost 3 degrees since these pecan trees were planted. That's all due to climate change. So now, you have one good crop year, then you have back-to-back heavy rain events and disease takes hold, and you only yield 400 pounds per acre. The next year, the heat is relentless and your yield is 300. Suddenly, your average is only 700 pounds per acre, and the amount you insure is way lower than without climate change. Then, a hurricane hits, and the yield drops to 0. How do you think that impacts your average? What if it's 10 years before you can get a single pecan?
How often do you keep, how many more times do you keep replanting?
Whew, I hate to say this, but this is probably if we get another storm like this, I'm done. Even if I replant in 5 years and I get another storm, it blows me down like this, I'm done.
If we roll this money over, it'll take 10, 12 years, possibly 15 years to recoup, to pay out what we've lost.
Farmers are hurting terribly. The timber people, there's ladies that was their retirement. 80-year-old ladies that had 200 acres of pine trees and they're completely gone. Well, it's gone. That timber land was probably worth $1,800 to $2,500 an acre. They have no more, it's gone now.
We headed south to where Michael made landfall and saw this along the way. Truly massive losses for timber farmers. The scene in Mexico Beach was surreal.
These are homes. I have seen bad tornado damage. But this is the power, this is water. This is storm surge here, clearing these foundations. I mean, it was the wind too, it was horrible, but it's worse than you think it's gonna be. Toilet, bathtub. You understand why this got so much attention during this storm, because this is just, there's nothing left. So when you see a lot of trees down and you see this, so what? Who cares if trees are down? But then you learn that those trees are someone's 401k, that they went hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to plant those trees as a future investment. And that's a huge story too.
Agricultural Commissioner for the state of Georgia, Gary Black, met us in South Georgia to talk about the reality of the plight of the farmer.
With the timber and that kind of being a safety net, are people now having, what do they do? If you're 75 years old and you planted that and that's your retirement.
Supply is high. The mills are full. The prices are low. And so even on that asset that they had, if they're able to salvage anything, the cash price today is low simply because of the volume that's on the market. We always have some challenges, particularly with cotton in Georgia. Pecan is different. It's a very difficult thing to insure. USDA's made a noble attempt, but some of those premiums are just simply not in a range where people can afford them. That is a risk, for sure. And the farmers of this state and all across this country that feed you and I, they're in the risk business, and they know that.
They can say they understand and say they know, but this is our world out here. You know, it's something that you just can't understand it sitting in the office looking out the window or typing on the computer. You know, I spent my life out here. I poured my heart out. I raised my family here. Maybe it's God's way of humbling everybody down and make you appreciate what you got.
So far, no aid has come for these farmers aside from low-interest loan options. The mark left by Hurricane Michael in these communities will last generations.